Hi everyone, my name is Giovanna Proença and today we're going to do a to-do app using Django. If you want to get the solution to this problem and also an ebook on how to become a developer as fast as possible, click on the description below. So the first thing we have to do is enter here, so I recommend you to install the Ubuntu, okay? And in here you are going to start creating our Django project, okay? So first thing you have to do a CD in your desktop folder. So you're going to use mnt/c/users/ the name of the user, in my case is Giovanna, /desktop. Okay, so now I am on my desktop folder. And now we're going to do Django hyphen, I think this is the way that you call, admin start project, and the name of the project. In this case I'm going to put video, okay? This will be the name of our project in this case. And here we wait a second, and now we have to go to the video folder. So we do a cd video, okay? And let's do a ls to check if we are on the folder that we should be. And we know that we are on the folder that we should be because we have here manage.py and the video folder, okay? Now we're going to start our project, and to do this we can put code space dot, and this way it's going to open the VS Code, okay? Let me see if I'm sharing my VS Code. By now no, but we're going to check this in a second. Let me set this up. So now, as you can see here, we have the VS Code, okay, that it's the Visual Studio Code where we are going to work with our project. And by now we have the video folder, okay, where we have the manage.py and these things, but we're not going to work with this by now, okay? We're going to keep working in the Ubuntu, that is our terminal, okay? And in here, what are we going to do? Now we have to start our Django app. So we're going to put in here Python 3 manage.py start app, and the name of our app will be tasks, okay, for our to-do app. We wait a second, and if you take a look in here, now we have a new folder that is called tasks, okay? And just the last thing that we're going to do in here is to start our server, so we don't have to work with the terminal anymore. So Python manage.py run server, okay? And when we run it, we're going to see here that we have a link, so you can copy this link, and we're going to check how our code is by now, okay? So this page in here is the link that we get from the terminal, okay? And this says what? The install worked successfully, congratulations. So this will be the place that we're going to do we're going to check how our website is, okay? Now let's work with the VS Code. So now let's work with the code, okay? So the first thing we have to do is to do some settings in the project, okay, in order to run it this way successfully. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click here on settings.py, okay? It's under the video folder, so click in settings.py, and we're going to add our app that we created, the tasks app. So you're going to come here and you're going to write tasks, okay, and a comma, and save it. So this is the first step we have to do for our settings. The next thing, we have to click here in urls.py file, okay, inside the video folder, and we're going to click in here, and by now we have what? So this URL is going to give us the URLs that our project is going to have, okay? So here we're going to add the URL of our app, that is the tasks app. So we have to put here first, we have from Django and contribute, blah, blah, blah. These things, they are already made for us when we install, when we run on our terminal, the start project and start app, okay? So now we have to increment some informations. So here on line 17, you have already import path, but we have to import also the include, okay? Because here we want to add the information of including the URLs of our tasks app. So in here, we're going to create a new path, and this new path will be called tasks, okay? And we're going to include the tasks.urls, okay? What this says, so when we put this in here, we're saying that our project is going to add the information that we have in our apps, in our tasks app, okay? So here we're saying that we're going to add the URLs that we're going to create in our tasks app, okay? This is one more setting that we have to do, and now we can actually work with our tasks app, okay? So here in tasks folder, you're going to open up and you're going to see that we have the admin.py, apps.py, models.py, tabs.py, and views.py. But here we're going to focus more on views.py, okay? That is where we're going to write our route. So I highly recommend you to, before watching this Django video, watch our video explaining how to do a to-do app using Flask, because it's very similar, the idea, okay? So here we're going to write the route and the things that it's going to happen in our code. And we have to create a file that is going to be called urls.py. So right click here on test folder and we're going to appear this new file. So you click new file and we're going to create a urls.py. Okay, let me zoom in here so you can see better the screen. And in here we're going to create the same thing that we created in here, basically, okay? We have to use these URLs patterns to create the path of our URLs, the URLs that is going to appear in here, okay? So in urls.py, inside the tasks folder, you're going to write it down what? You have to put from Django.contrib import admin, actually it's from Django.urls import path, okay? And from dot, that means the whole files that we have in our folder tasks, import views, that is our main file in this case. Then URL patterns, so URL patterns equals to path, and we're going to put in here, this is the default path, so no forward slashes in here, views.index, comma, name equals to index. And the name that we're giving here has to be the same name that we're going to use in our views.py, okay? Because here we have views.index, so this is the function that we're going to create in our views.py, okay? So now we can open up our views.py file, and in here we're going to create our index function, okay? So here we're going to say def index, and inside we have to use request, okay? These are some notations that we have to use when we are working with Django. And the first thing we're going to do is just return render the request and tasks /index .html. So what are we doing in here? Basically, we are creating a new route, okay, that is our index. So we're creating the route that is going to handle the information that we're going to use in our index page of our website, okay? The render is going to render the page for us in here. And what page is going to render? It's going to render the tasks /index.html. So this means that we're going to render our index.html file that we're going to create now, okay? So here you're going to right click on tasks and you're going to create a new folder called templates /tasks, okay? And in here we're going to create our index.html. So now here again, right click on the templates tasks and we're going to create an index.html, okay? Just to make things with a better looking, we're going to create also a layout.html file here. And this layout.html is going to help us to save time when creating new HTML files, okay? So here we can write the whole content that we have to have in an HTML file, and it's going to be easier for us to work with the index. So here, how do we create an HTML file? We have to use the doc type HTML, okay? Then we have to use a tag of HTML, and the language will be English, okay? Then we're going to create a head part, and this head part is going to have the things that doesn't show up in our page, okay? So one thing that doesn't show up in our page in here, it's the name that is going to appear in the tab, okay? So here we can put what? We can put tasks, for example, okay? And we have to close the title tag. Here we close the head tag, okay? Now we have to open the body tag. If you are not so comfortable with HTML, take a look at our video explaining learn HTML in some hours, okay? It's very nice to understand the idea of how to use this language. And here inside the body, we're going to create a block body that is going to be used in the other files of HTML, okay? So here, and block. And what this means, so let's just close here the HTML tag. So what this means, everything that is going to be run here inside, we're going to write in the index.html files and other files that we might use. And this is going to save, this layout.html file is going to save us time because we don't have to write it down all of this again. We just use this block body, okay? So we can save this, and now we can work with the index.html. So to use the information of the layout.html, we can write here extends. Let me just remove this. So extends tasks/layout.html. Why we're using task/? Because it's the folder that layout is inside, okay? And we're going to extend this. And now we're going to, if you take a look in here, we have this block body and end block, okay? So we have to use this again in here. So everything we're going to write it down in the index.html file will be inside this block body in here, okay? So we're going to open up this block body, so block body, and then we're going to close the end block, okay? Oops, I forgot to use the % in here. And let me make this better. Okay, so everything we're going to write it down on the index.html file will be here in this part, okay, that we're extending from the body. So basically what we want to do, so first let's just print hello world using a h1. So hello world, and let's hello world, and let's just check if this is working by now, okay? So save it and let's run our code. So here in our web page, so remember that we created here a path that it's called tasks, okay? So when we run this way, nothing's going to happen. We're going to have problem in here because it doesn't recognize what this means. So one thing that it's really important for you to get is that after we start running our server and we saw that it was successfully working, we have to close we have to break this run server in our terminal, okay, and run the code again, okay? And now if we run the code again, we're going to find out this, and it's saying page not found. So why is that? Because in here we have the path tasks, okay? So we have to use in here /tasks, and now we're going to check our page, okay? Because we're working with the app tasks in here. So far so good, it's working our page because it's printing hello world, okay? But we don't want to print only hello world in this page. We want to do more things in here. So what we want to do more than this? We want, and one more thing that is important to see is that here we put title equals to tasks, right? And if you take a look, the name of our tab now is tasks, okay? So now we want to say what? We don't want to say hello world, it was just a checking point. We're going to write tasks, okay? And when we run this again, now it's tasks. And now we want to put the tasks that we're going to render in here, that it's going to appear in here. So first, let's create the tasks in our views.py. Okay, so here we're going to write tasks equals to, I'm going to use like study code and sleep, for example. Okay, so now we have to pass this to our index.html file. And how are we going to do this? We can pass this as a context. Okay, that is what the context, we can put this in here. So comma, open the square brackets, and we're going to write tasks and tasks again. It's always a good implementation to use the same name as you use it in here. Okay, so these tasks means the task that it's going to be worked in the index.html, and this text here in white, it's about these tasks here. Okay, so how can we work with the information that we're going to get from views.py in the index.html? So here we are passing this information. When we use this context here, we pass this information of tasks in here, and we can use in here in the index.html by first, we're going to use a UL, unordered list. Okay, so let's open and close a UL tag. And inside of this, we're going to do a for loop that we're going to iterate in each element of this tasks list here. Okay, so we're going to first write study, then code, then sleep. So we can do here for task in tasks. And why tasks? Because we're passing this information here as a tasks variable here. Okay, so for task in tasks, we're going to do an iteration that is going to do what? We're going to create a list item that is going to be double quotation mark task. And when we do this way, let's close the list item here. When we do this way, this is not going to print task. It's going to print the value that we're receiving from the views.py. Okay, and after this, we have to close the for loop block. So end for. Okay, so let's see how it goes. If we run this in here, now we have our study, code, and sleep tasks being showing up in here in our page. Okay, so now we're going to create a new route, because by now we see the task that we have, but what if we want to add more information in our tasks in here? So let's create a new path that is going to be called here. So it's going to be called path add. Okay, views.add and name equals to add. Okay, save this file in urls.py, and now we're going to come back to views.py, and we're going to create here a definition of add request. Okay, so this is going to be our route to work with the add page. So to do an add page, let's work first creating our index.html, our add.html page in here. Okay, so new file, add.html, and we're going to do the same thing as we did in here. We're going to extend the information from the layout.html in here. Okay, so extends tasks /layout.html. So we're grabbing the information from layout. Here we're going to use block body. Okay, and here we're going to use end block. Okay, and now let's print just hello world again to check if it's working. So hello world and close /h1. If we try to render here the add page, is not let's see what happens. It's not going to happen anything. Why? Because we didn't set in here to render this page. Okay, so let's say here return render in the views.py request comma tasks / add.html. So this way we're going to render our add.html. So let's see if it's working. So in here we're going to use the add, and this is our add page, okay? And what we want to have in our add page, we want to have a form, okay? And in this form we're going to add the new tasks in our tasks in here, okay? So let's do this. So here we're going to put, instead of hello world, we're going to say add tasks, and we're going to create a form in here. So form action, and by now we're going to set this empty, okay? Then later we can add information about it. And inside we have to use our input. And what will be our input? One will be type text to write the new task. So we can use here name equals to new task, okay? And we have to have another input tag that is going to be our button, our submit button. So type equals to submit, and we can save this in here. So let's run our add page. So by now we have this in here, okay? So let's try to check what happens if we write it down here, for example, law of League of Legends. If we click submit and we come back to our tasks, let's see what happens. So it didn't change our tasks, it didn't add a new task in our tasks page, right? And why is that? Because we're not working here in the action. We don't have any information of where this form action is going to be handled, okay? So to do this, we have to use in here the action. We're going to put curly brackets, % URL, and where this is going to be worked. And this is going to be worked to be handled in our add route. So here we're going to add, okay, % and close the curly brackets, and the method is post, okay? So we have to write this in post method equals to post. And why post? So post is basically going to send data for our back end. The back end is our views.py. So this method post is going to send data that is going to be handled in our views.py, okay? The other method that we have is the get, and the get is going to, it basically renders the page for us, okay? So here the default case is always get, so here we don't need to say that it's a get because it's already rendered for us. But we can have a post that it means what? When we're sending information for our views.py to handle with this, okay? So now let's see what happens. So we have this in here. Now let's handle the information that we are passing in the form action here in views.py. So how can we do this? We have to create here an if and else condition, okay? And the if condition, it will be if request method equals post, the same idea as I said before. We're going to create a new task, and this new task is going to be this information here. That's why we have to use the name. The name will be the identifier of this information in here. So since the identifier of the information that we're going to get from the user is called a new task, all in lowercase, here we're going to say, so we are creating a new variable called new task, and in here we're going to store in this new task table and new task variable the information request.post, the information that we're going to get here on the form, that it's this name in here, new task, this identifier, so new task, okay? And after that, we're going to add this new task in the tasks list, so we can use a simple append, so tasks.append, and what we're going to append, the new task variable, okay? And after all, we want to render again this page, okay? So after adding a new information, we want to render this page again. So we can just use this line 7 up to 9. So we're going to return render request tasks /index.html, outside comma, curly brackets, and tasks. Okay, so we're kind of returning. So after adding a new task, we want to render this page again. And what is our else condition? Is if request.method is get. And when we want to get the add page, we want to render these tasks here. So we're going to do else, and we have to make this indentation correct. Okay, so now let's run our code again. Let's see what happens. So let's enter in our add here, and let's try to add a new thing. So let's put here law and click submit. And now, if you take a look, we receive this information: forbidden, CSRF verification failed, requested aborted. So this means that when we use the Django, we can have some problems if we don't use this CSRF token, okay? We can't simply just use information from the form and pass like we do on Flask, for example. Here we have to use one thing that we're going to add here, that it's %CSRF_token, okay? And this is going to make our form be safely submitted in our database, okay? So now let's run this again and check what happens. So let me run this, and I will pay law, and when we submit, now we have a new law information in here, okay? And just to make things easier to work, so our to-do app it's working fine, but just making the life of the user better, instead of always putting in here this URL, we can create an ahref, an a tag in here, that when we click, we come back to the tasks, and when we are on tasks, we click, we can go to the add here. So this, we're going to go to index.html, and we're going to create an a tag where we can use ahref equals to URL index. Okay, so this is the index of where we want to go when we click in this hyperlink, and we're going to say here view add new task, and we close the ahref, and we're going to do the same in here. If you want to check the tasks page, we can put here an ahref equals to %URL add index % blah blah blah, and here we can put view tasks and close the ahref. Okay, so let me see if here is not index, sorry, it's the add, because we want to check the add page, and let's see what happens. So if we click here in this hyperlink, we come back to the tasks page. If we click here in add new text hyperlink, we go to add new tasks. Okay, and now we can put more things. So cook, now we have one more and another task to do. Eat, and now we have more tasks to do. Okay, so this is basically how you do a to-do app. I hope you enjoyed this content, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.